Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy, I'm Christodom1, and I am back with another video. I'm gonna tell you what's really going on with KG, as well as Ray Allen, the big three, Rondo, and why they have a huge issue with Ray Allen even to this day. All right, this is classic beef. All right. First, let's talk about Ray Allen. Ray Allen, for all those who don't know anything about Ray Allen, he was drafted by the Bucks. And the Bucks had a super team back in the day. It was Ray Allen, Big Dog, Glenn Robinson, and that crew over there, as well as George Karl. He was the coach, all right? And this was going to be the next big thing. But the Bucks were stumbling. They had a huge identity crisis, as well as a lot of people on that squad, as well as the coach, George Karl, had ego battles, had ego issues. A lot of people were thinking, well, without my contributes and without me, this team would not be where this team is today. Ray Allen had squabbles with a lot of people, as well as Big Dog, as well as the coach, George Karl. All right. So there was a struggle internal with that team. Ultimately, Ray Allen ended up with the Supersonics, the Seattle Supersonics. All right. And Ray Allen, for all those who don't give him credit, is a great scorer. He was Steph Curry before Steph Curry, all right? Back in Ray Allen's prime, he can move with the ball as well as shoot it anywhere on the court. That's how deadly this guy was. And a lot of people really don't give him the nod on his defensive presence. Now, he wasn't a quote-unquote two-way player, great on the offensive side and as well on the defensive side, but he can trap a lot of opponents with his defensive presence, okay? So a lot of people don't give Ray Allen a lot of credit on that aspect of his game. A lot of people just view him as a three-point shooter, but in actuality, Ray Allen is a very good player, or a very good shooter, okay? So when he joined the Celtics, yes, he was making the money. Yes, he was getting scoring titles, this, that, and the third. But the Seattle Supersonics wasn't really taking it to the next level. All right, they didn't have the same hype as the Milwaukee Bucks had in the East when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, and once again, Ray Allen demanded to be traded, and this was the time where not only Ray Allen was in the West, but KG, Kevin Garnett, was also in the West. And in that point of time, players were communicating just like players are communicating now. KG didn't like what he was seeing with Minnesota. He felt like a lot of free agents, which was true, a lot of free agents didn't want to go to Minnesota, and a lot of players and a lot of free agents didn't want to go to the Seattle Supersonics, okay? Well, I want to say Seahawks, the Supersonics, because everyone knew, including their mamas, they knew that this team was going to be ultimately relocated. The organization there, they didn't want to put a lot of funding, a lot of money in getting them a new stadium, and that was the huge sticking point, okay? So these cats was engineering deals to get out of their particular situation, okay? And in comes Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge, as a player, was a great player back in the day. He was also a great coach, and he turned out to be a great president of operations. The reason why a lot of players can identify with him as well as the connection and the relationships he have with other people and other insiders in the organization. All right. His relationship with Kevin McHale is top notch, and that's the reason why he got KG for like little of nothing. All right. The same could be said with Ray Allen. He basically traded for Ray Allen for really nothing. Okay. And he engineered those two players to join the Boston Celtics. Now, the Boston Celtics has already drafted Rondo. They already had big baby Glen Davis, okay? And they also had a coach who they was looking at, okay? So they had the proper ingredients. They just had to put it together. And this team was running roughshod on the East. Now, at this particular time, LeBron James was the media darling of the NBA, all right? The way how the press and social media, how they look at Steph Curry and look at his family and look at his kid. Oh, she's so adorable, this, that, and the third. Steph Curry is the media darling in this generation, but back then, LeBron James had that going on. And that rubbed a lot of NBA players the wrong way. A lot of media, a lot of insiders proclaimed LeBron James the chosen one, the king, okay? And it rubbed a lot of players the wrong way. A lot of players were basically saying, you know, this guy has just literally just came in the NBA and really hasn't accomplished anything, okay? And a lot of players just did not like that. Now, Kevin Garnett, he's from the old school, as well as Ray Allen, and they feel like your talent should do your talking. You know, what you contribute to a team should do your talking, not what the media is saying, and not how many endorsement deals you're having. Is what you're doing on the court. Which, by the way, LeBron James was doing his thing, all right? So, the first time these two worlds collide, meaning LeBron James and the Boston Celtics, it wasn't pleasant, okay? It wasn't a respect factor, if you want to call it that. It was really no respect factor between the two squads. And the Boston Celtics had a huge issue with LeBron James. Now, I know Kevin Garnett to this day is not going to mention this. Ray Allen is not going to mention this. Rondo is not going to mention this. Big baby Glen Davis is not going to even try to attempt mentioning this. But a lot of those players were jealous of LeBron James and the energy that he was bringing to the NBA. Okay, so when they first met, LeBron James welted under the pressure. All right, he really didn't have a great game. Okay, and the Boston Celtics tried to capitalize off of that. They realized that LeBron James, it was just really basically LeBron James and nothing else. And this was LeBron James' first stint in Cleveland, okay? Now, what Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett are not mentioning are really, when you think about it, when you think about those two brothers as well as LeBron James, they pretty much had the same similarities, all right? Not talent-wise, but the hurdles and the obstacles that they had to overcome to make their team better. Okay, let's face it. Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and LeBron James all had the same issues about their team. Their organization couldn't get top-notch NBA free agents to come entertain a notion to sign with the team, as well as the organization really didn't draft well to build around Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and LeBron James. So these three brothers, you would think they would have a lot in common, but on the court, it was the jealous factor. It was the old guard jealous of the new school, sort of say. And it just the way it was. Okay. You also have to remember when Kevin Garnett entered the NBA and when Ray Allen entered in the NBA, they entered an old school era that was pretty much grandfathered onto them. And they used to play against cats like Michael Jordan, all right? To a lesser extent, Magic Johnson, okay? They used to play with those old school players. And that's why they adopted a lot of the old school ways, because a lot of old school NBA veterans were still playing when they was rookies in the NBA, all right? Nowadays, it's hard to get a lot of NBA veterans to continue to play the NBA because the top-notch talent is demanding so many dollars. It's hard to keep an NBA veteran on the squad, okay? So the way that they're doing it now, it couldn't have been done back then in Michael Jordan's prime, okay? So like I said earlier, you think these guys will have a lot in common. Ego really put a wedge in between them, as well as LeBron James was an opponent against them. They considered LeBron James the enemy, all right? They found reasons to hate LeBron James, all right? It was very personal in those series, okay? So when LeBron James when LeBron James was in his final year with the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James was at a crossroad. LeBron James' mindset was, if I continue to stay with the Cleveland Cavaliers, then I'm going to be stuck in even a worse situation than Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. I can't attract talent to my team. My organization can't draft enough good talent to be around me, and then I have to constantly rebuild every single year, okay? And we're ultimately not getting anywhere fast. So LeBron James opted out, and he joined the Miami Heat, okay? When he joined the Miami Heat, it was him, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and the other cast. Now, the other cast were transitional parts. You know, some of those players only played one season. The other players played maybe 1 or 2 seasons. And when they went to the finals, okay, they went to the finals, and they lost to the Dallas Mavericks. Sorry about that, guys. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks, okay? And in that series, it was a learning experience. It was pretty much a learning experience throughout the regular season as well as the playoffs. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh realized that just because they're talented and they just think it was just going to be as easy as that, just joining and making a super team, and all we got to do is run roughshod and then we capture the chip. It was more complex than that. They have to have a cast that when they are on the bench and in certain games when they're stumbling a little bit, they can take people off the bench and still help them in crucial games and in certain games, and they can get their rest where they don't always have to be playing throughout the games, all right? And they also had to learn how to play with one another. When LeBron James and Dwayne Wade would play together, they would struggle a little bit because, let's just face facts and face reality, they're pretty much the same player, okay? Dwayne Wade is not a spot-up shooter, okay? That's the thing that the Heat were struggling with. They didn't have a guy on the squad that can be a spot-up shooter that can get 10 points just by spotting up, okay? They needed that type of person, and they needed that type of identity. LeBron tried, and he just couldn't do it at a certain extent, as well as Dwayne Wade. In comes the next year, and Ray Allen decided that, you know what? I'm going with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. I'm joining their big three. Okay, if you can't beat them, join them. All right, that's his mindset and his logic. Okay, so he joins Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh, and he's on that big three. Now, there were a lot of rumors out there that suggested that when you talk about Ray Allen and Doc Rivers, they really didn't have a good relationship. And Ray Allen took the fact that when he was starting a much younger player and giving him more time versus Ray Allen viewed that as a negative. But in reality, what Doc Rivers was doing was trying to transition Ray Allen from being a spot-up shooter, okay? He was basically saying, we just really need Ray Allen in certain key situations, all right? And Ray Allen just didn't like his role with Boston, all right? And also the fact Ray Allen had a huge gripe and a huge issue with Rondo. He felt like Rondo was immature. And at that particular time, Rondo was very young. And yes, he was hard-headed. And yes, he was immature. But as one of the leaders, and Kevin Garnett had Ray Allen's back, he always co-signed with Ray Allen when Ray Allen squabbled with Rondo, trying to show Rondo the bigger picture, all right? So he always had that support with Kevin Garnett. He always had that support with Paul Pierce. He always had that support with Doc Rivers, even though they had issues, all right? But Ray Allen simply just said, if you can't beat them, join them. I'm just going to go ahead and join the Miami Heat, all right? In Ray Allen's eyes, he viewed that the tide was turning. Now, some are in the mindset of, if Ray Allen would have stayed with the Boston Celtics and would have accepted his role, the Boston Celtics could have beaten the big three in Miami when they was in their second year. And if he would have stayed there and hung on with the Boston Celtics, then the big three, Miami would have had to make some type of move to stay competitive with Boston, all right? A lot of people seem to forget, all right, Chris Bosh was the odd man out. Miami definitely, during the second year of the big three, the second and third year of the big three, they were really on the mindset of trading Chris Bosh to get more pieces around LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. And if they would have done that, all right, LeBron James would have he probably would have stayed with Miami, all right, because they would have freed up enough salary cap, and they would have had additional draft pieces, picks or pieces to make that team better, all right? But that's, that's hearsay. I mean, that's that never came into fruition. And Ray Allen basically said, if you can't beat them, join them. He joined the Miami Heat. And basically, when that news went down, Ray Allen really didn't communicate to KG or Paul Pierce or or anybody in the Boston camps. It sort of just came as a surprise, okay? And that really rubbed Doc Rivers, as the rest of the squad of the Boston Celtics, the wrong way, okay? It's one thing to skip out on the team and not re-up on them, and not even tell the people that you played for and got those championships with, you could at least told them, hey, I just feel like the tide is turning. I think the Miami Heat is going to be the next big thing, and I'm trying to chase these rings, so I'm just going to join them. Even though they would have probably had some ill will towards that, I think their relationship would have been fine. It would have been great. I mean, it would have been okay. It would not have been great. It would have been okay. Okay, and he would have been somewhat forgiven by doing that. Okay, so his first year with the Miami Heat, and he played against the Boston Celtics, and you're looking at the picture right now, he tried to shake hands with KG. He tried to shake hands with Paul Pierce and Doc Rivers. They wasn't having none of that. All right, yes, he got handshakes, but nobody wasn't really looking at him in the eye. And KG, he's cut from a different cloth, and he's from that old school, that Michael Jordan University. He didn't show him any love. Okay, and that's why when you got the big three today on inside the NBA on TNT Area 21, when they was discussing this a couple of nights back, they're still bitter at Ray Allen, and they're not bitter to the point of he joined the quote unquote the enemy team. All right, they're bitter at him because he never communicated to them, and he also never communicated that the way he handled it was very wrong in their eyes. All right, now Ray Allen feels like he handled it perfectly well. All right, and when you look at it in a big picture, in a big aspect, you have to look at it as this behavior started the next level of behavior of good players joining up with other good players, great players. Instead of the motto, I'm going to try to beat that great player, now the motto is, I just want to join that great player. This spawned a lot of things like Kevin Durant joining the Warriors. You know, after the Oklahoma City got lost to the Warriors, the first thing Kevin Durant did was join the quote unquote enemy. Okay, so this spawned a lot of weird behavior to a lot of future NBA players, and now this has become the right thing to do. Okay, now a lot of old school veteran former players of the NBA, they view this as a cop-out. They view this as no competition. Nobody don't want to face competition. All right, and that's why Charles Barkley, I say about 6 months back, was questioning LeBron James. Do you even want to compete? All right, do you even want to compete? You basically just want all the good players on your squad, and you don't want to compete. That was the viewpoint of Charles Barkley, and he got into a heated discussion with Shaquille O'Neal, which, by the way, come on, guys, let's be fair and let's be honest. Shaquille O'Neal is friends of LeBron James. So Shaquille O'Neal is speaking from as a friend. He noticed that his friend is getting thrown a lot of shade, and he's going to defend his friend. Okay, so let's not look at it as, you know, Shaquille O'Neal has a theory on how this is a good thing, but it is what it is. Okay, and that's why Kevin Garnett and Rondo, as well as Paul Pierce, and to a certain extent Doc Rivers, they are feeling a certain kind of way, and they're all inside their feelings about what Ray Allen did. All right, now if you ask my opinion, Chris, what do you think about all this? I felt like Ray Allen handled it the wrong way. I felt like if Ray Allen had to do it all over again, I think he would have done things differently. I think he would have discussed to that core that, hey, I'm just going to join the Heat because I feel like this is the most this team is going to do, and the tide is turning, and I'm trying to chase championships, okay? But that's all well and good, but a lot of people also seem to forget Ray Allen's stance against Kobe Bryant. And when Kobe Bryant was entertaining the notion of going to another team, Ray Allen was all in his feelings talking about how that is a bad thing. All right. He was basically saying if Kobe Bryant thinks he's that good, then he doesn't need to join another team. He should do it on his own. All right. So you can't have that type of opinion and then turn around and do the total opposite of what you believe. Okay. You come out being a hypocrite. All right. Now, I'm not saying the way how he handled that situation, I'm not going to call him a hypocrite per se, but what I am going to say is he handled it very, very wrong. And if he had an opportunity to do it all again, he would do things differently. And their relationship, it would suffer some, but I still think they would have had a relationship where they're kind of mutual and they're talking to one another. And I understand what Stephen A. Smith says when he says that, well, Kevin Garnett, he's not a Celtic no more. Paul Pierce ain't a Celtic no more. He's a Clipper. Doc Rivers, he's not the coach of the Celtics no more. He's the Clippers. KG was in Brooklyn. Okay. Big baby Glen Davis, he was with Orlando. Okay, and he bounced through a bunch of teams. I understand what you're saying, Stephen A. Smith, but what you're missing and the boat you're missing on is those individuals were traded to those teams, all right? And Ray Allen wasn't, okay? So it's perfectly natural and perfectly organic and perfectly okay for them to go to another team because they were traded, all right? They didn't have any clause in their contract where they can dictate where they was going. But you also have to realize, Stephen A. Smith, the writing was on the wall that the Boston Celtics, they weren't going anywhere fast anyway. It was time for that organization to rebuild. And the fact that those brothers and that coach have a great relationship with Danny Ainge, and they are mutually respectable towards one another, Danny Ainge will benefit from allowing these players and allowing this coach to leave because he got draft picks from this. He rebuilt. He had a couple of bad years, but look where the Boston Celtics are today. Okay, so it wasn't like it wasn't like those brothers just left Danny Ainge, all right? The feeling was mutual. They had an open line of communication, and both sides wanted this to happen. And on Ray Allen's case, it was pretty much a one-sided conversation with Ray Allen and his agent, and he just left his friends in the wind, okay? But it is what it is. But guys, tell me what you think out there. Rate, comment, subscribe. Please, notification gang in the building. Please notify my video so you will be informed. Hit that notified icon so you'll be knowing when my next video or live stream is going down. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One, and I am out.